lies in front of you is a 2004 Ford F-150 Lariat Supercrew cab with 136,000 miles. Now, the F-150 was originally introduced in 1948 as a small two-door pickup truck, which has changed the world a little bit, and has evolved into a larger behemoth now 70 years later. Now, this edition specifically is a 2004, which is significant to the Ford truck series because in 2004, Ford sold a record 939,500 models of the F-Series, which was, I believe, the most in a single calendar year of any vehicle ever. To put that into perspective for you, 939,000 F-Series models is more than the entire populace of 5 United States. And also, if you want to put that into more perspective, imagine every single person in the state of Wyoming and 2/5 of the state of North Dakota, and every single person in those states owned a Ford F-Series model. Now, Ford cheats a little in this category because they have the F-150, the 250, the 350, the 450 for civilian purposes, and then you have the 550, the 650 for more utility and industrial purposes. Now, Ford F-150s are not the only truck made by Ford. They've had two luxurious Lincoln counterparts over the years. They had the Lincoln Blackwood in the 10th generation of the pickups, and then they had the Mark LT, which was the Lincoln version of this style F-150, and the 11th generation, which is also this F-150. Aside from that, Ford also has a smaller counterpart for the F-150, which is the Ford Ranger, which was discontinued recently, but is going to be reproduced once again in 2019. And Ford also has the acclaimed Raptor, which is a rugged off-roading type of the F-150, which is a pretty penny if you want to purchase one. Now, this specific edition of the F-150 is the Lariat edition, which is the highest end edition you can purchase in a Ford truck, aside from the established King Ranch edition before the modern Platinum edition was introduced in 2009. And a Lariat, by definition on dictionary.com, is a rope used to lasso horses. So Ford intended for this vehicle to be used for farming purposes, although if you're a person like me, I'm going to be driving it around town and enjoying its nice features that it offers. And aside from that, within this video, I will be showing off my F-150 Lariat, as is my daily driver, saying the pluses, the negatives, including different interview sections, and then I will score it at the end to rank it to the other videos I have made. Stay tuned. Beginning with the exterior of the F-150, as you can see on both sides of the vehicle, it has printed the name of the vehicle, the edition being the Lariat, and the engine specifications having the 5.4 Triton V8. It's a nice little badging to show other drivers what type of vehicle you have. And if you come on the exterior, you can see the chrome running boards since it is the Lariat edition. And if you look towards the bottom of the running boards, you can see the Ford logo imprinted on them. And then when you open the door inside the truck, although it is slightly faded from where you can see the word F-150 printed faintly aside from the entrance to the vehicle. Nice little touch by Ford to include. Also, in any Ford vehicle, not just the F-150, you have the unlocking system with the combination. So when you have something in your hands, if you bring in groceries, or if you want to go swimming, or if you want to do something that requires you to not have a key in your pocket, you can simply undo the combination and get into your vehicle. It is a very nice touch. And underneath the hood, you have your 5.4 liter Triton V8 engine, as you can see. Big logo right there. Very massive thing to power a large vehicle, which weighs in about a little over 5,000 pounds, but still very large motor. Got a lot of power, 300 horsepower at 5,000 RPM. And one other feature on the exterior that I simply love about the F-150 is the large Ford emblem on the bed to show people who are tailgating you exactly what type of truck you have and proudly display that. And also to the left of the logo, you have the F-150 logo that resembles the same shape as the one in the front, except it does not have the edition and the engine size, probably due to the universality of just making the overall look of the vehicle numerous times. The F-150 can also withstand rain. now. And it can even handle barbecue sauce. Why? One weird feature about the F-150 is, say you go through the drive-thru and you get your change. You want to put your quarter in a little storage compartment, and you want to put it right here in the little spot that's usually available in the door panel. So you go to put the coin in, and it falls right through. Yep, these doors are made specifically for shutting the door. That is the only purpose, and they are wide empty. I don't know why Ford decided to do this. It is a very kind of pointless feature when most cars have a little tiny thing right there. It's just only made for shutting the door. Another very different feature about the F-150. Say it is a crappy day like it always is in New Jersey, a nice lovely overcast sky, and it is raining, so you want to turn on the windshield. The F-150 treats you with not 1, 2, nor 3 windshield wiper settings, but 7 total windshield wiper settings, ranging from the lowest one, which goes on about once every 45 seconds, to the 7th setting, which is like a rapid fire in a war, which goes like 8 times per second. So just in case you're in a bit of a downpour, Ford wants to make sure your windows are spotless, and they utilize this with 7 features on the windshield wipers. A very odd setting. One particular feature I enjoy about Ford trucks is this air conditioning vent look. The vents in this truck are simple, they're plain, and when they're shut, they just flow along with the flatness of the interior. And if you want to open them, just tap it so simply. They open up like that. But when they're shut, they're just a simple, nice looking touch. It just fits the interior nicely, and it just works with the overall simplicity of the truck. Now that we got the truck running, you can see that the interior of it is very nice and flashy, since it is the Lariat edition, which is the highest edition besides the esteemed King Ranch, before the Platinum models were invented in the later 2000 years. And since you paid a lot of money to buy the Lariat, Ford wants to ensure that you know what you purchased. So there's a big Lariat sign right beneath the speedometer in the center control system. Also, on the sticker and the windshield, it claims that the F-150 gets 14 miles per gallon city and 18 on the highway, although you can see right there that it gets a very, very economical 12.1 miles per gallon, which is a very nice thing when you're filling up at the pump, usually running me about $60 to get a 3/4 of a tank fill. And being that it is the Lariat edition of the F-150, you have a plentiful amount of features in the interior. As you can see here, you have your cigarette lighter and your ashtray, which opens so gently when you tap it with your finger. Also, one weird feature about this vehicle, although you can hit auto to turn on the AC, a button that you will be using frequently, the air conditioning button is about the size of a microscopic potato chip. So you tap this, and on comes your AC. And seeing these monstrous vents in the interior, as you can now hear, the air conditioning is extremely loud. However, being that it is a Lariat, and that you have as many opportunities as you want, Ford gives you almost 8 different fan settings, which sounds like a small hurricane, all the way down to a nice, blissful, relaxing breeze as you drive down the highway. And also, if you want to turn the interior or the temperature up, you have these massive buttons to raise it and lower it. Also, being that it is a Lariat, you have these features right here on the steering wheel. So as you can see, as I'm hitting temperature, it is rising in the center control panel. You can also change this with the fan as well, as you can see. Other features in the interior, you have your standard radio controls, which sound very nice. Also, you have your seat warmers, and since it is a Lariat, you have 2 if your ass is frozen shut you can use super high mode, or if your ass is only partly cold, you can raise it partially. There are no cooled seats because those were not a commodity in this generation of vehicles, but nonetheless, you have seat warmers. Also, since it is a Lariat, you have the automatic seats, as you can move them back and forth and raise them also. And since this truck is a small behemoth, as you can see, the interior door panels have a plentiful amount of storage. Other little interior features about the Lariat that Ford gives you is your 12-volt outlet in the front. You have a chrome plated shifter because it is the Lariat. Your air conditioning vents are rimmed with a chrome outline. The door panels are chrome, and among a couple other things is the wood, as I mentioned earlier, and the leather stitched center console, seats, and the overall beige amenities within the interior. There is no aux cord input because that was a thing that came after the 2004 models, but nonetheless, you have your trustworthy radio. A very small info screen, as I pointed out earlier, that displays multiple things. You can change it to see the MPG, the temperature, the direction, and the odometer. You can see how many miles you have until empty, the time if you decided to put this thing on a drag strip, the temperature solely, your trip meter, which I have not reset since I purchased this vehicle, and back to the miles per gallon. Also, this thing during night mode, or when you're driving at night, it raises and lowers the headlight. This truck is also a four-wheel drive optioned vehicle. Right now it is in two-wheel drive to preserve the already atrocious gas mileage that I get with this thing. And I can put it on four-wheel drive high for decent off-roading things, which I will probably do when it starts snowing in this godforsaken state. Or I can put it on four-wheel drive low if there is a blizzard blockading my exit from my development. The center console in the 2004 Ford F-150 is not as monstrous as the Ram's and is about the same size as the Chevy, although this thing is older. It has a decent amount of space that would outsize most smaller SUVs and obviously sedans and coupes. You have your nice little coin slots for your pennies, your nickels, your dimes, your quarters. This can hold business cards. This can hold tissues. And it is a very deep outlet, so you can store practically whatever you desire in this center console. You also have two gigantic cup holders with this rubbery outline, which can be removed kind of easily. If you have a gigantic beverage you wish to store in either of these slots, taking out the rubber components will make it larger, and if you want to put them back in, it is a very simple installation. They go in, slide in nicely, and they are returned to their rightful positions. You also have a CD player. There is no DVD player, which is not big if you're not having little children with you in the vehicle. I usually keep my phone here while I'm driving, although it gets extremely hot sometimes. But if you have like receipts, change, or anything small, it is a nice little storage spot to put them. Up here you have your home length garage settings if you have 3 garage, which you can program. I am unsure if they still work or not in this vehicle, but nonetheless you still have them. You have your sunroof controls right here, your sunroof like that, which can open up so simply. This one can open the rear window in the back. Needless to say, the interior is extremely comfortable. It is extremely spacious. The seats are very nice and plush. They have been worn in since the 14 years that this vehicle has been driven. And the legroom is absolutely gorgeous because I am fully outstretched. I'm about 5'10", and I have the most ample amount of legroom because it's a truck. I mean, you're gonna have a crap load of space, And if you want to sit people in here comfortably, you have 5 people, maybe 6 if you need a tight squeeze, but still, this truck can handle it. Moving on here, the glove compartment is fairly decently sized for this monstrous vehicle, with the owner's manual right there. And then on the door panel, you have your speakers above and underneath in this mesh-like material. You have the firm beige plastic thing with a little bit of leather stitching right there. The wood, once again, that just matches the lavishness that Ford wants to give you when you're purchasing the Lariat edition of their truck. Moving to the rear of the F-150, as Ford and most other trucks have put in the front, the rear has the assisted entry for those who need assistance climbing into the vehicle's large frame. For the backseat passengers, they have this pretty similar features as those in the front of the vehicle, with the 2 massive cup holders, the air vents in the back, which open the same way as they do in the front, except they are a tiny bit smaller. Another 12-volt outlet if you want to charge your phone, tablet, or whatever. Little storage, actually I shouldn't say little, massive storage compartments in each of the rear seats. Oh, and also, being that it is a crew cab model of the F-150, you have the full back door and rear seat with the same comfortable leather seats that would make for a nice long journey. Also, in the bed, or the back I should say, you have your clothing racks, or hanger racks to hang your clothing. You also have a small light in the back which turns on, and since the vehicle is not on, it won't go on or it is dead, so that's cool. But still, the back seat has a pretty fair amount of legroom. Nothing crazy, but I am sitting fully outstretched and my knees are not touching the pouch in the front, which is very nice. So, since it is now nighttime, in the F-150, the headlight dial is similar to most pickup trucks, but different from most sedans, vans, and other types of vehicles, because as I just said, the headlight switch is a turn dial like this. Turn those on and boom, the lights are on up front. The interior lights are green and everything else in the cabin is illuminated. If you want to put on the high beams in the F-150, you take the knob once it is already on and you pull it outwards and your high beams are now on. This little dial right here can change the brightness of the interior lights. If you put it all the way up, this dome light comes on. If you lower it, it goes off, and these green lights, as well as the headlights, dim slightly. So never mind, the headlights do not, but these interior ones do, where it is nothing all the way up to the dome light with the green. So basically this segment is what I like to call the interview section. Essentially what I'm going to do is answer 5 generic questions that most people would ask when buying a car, just asking generic questions about it. Basically, the first question is, do I like the vehicle? And the answer is a bit redundant since I own this car, but yes, I love my F-150. It is a blast to drive. It's fun to just cruise around town with. I can do whatever I want. In this bed, I've hauled multiple things from far places. It's extremely universal, and I mean I can just chill and eat back here with my friends, so it's a very fun car to own. Second question is, what is my favorite part about the vehicle? And that honestly is the interior. The thing that got me to buy an F-150 instead of a Ram or a Chevy was the interior. Ford's interior in the Lariat was just simple, it was luxurious, and it was nice. You got these really nice leather seats, as I said before. You got the wooden paneling inside. You got very nice flowing air conditioning vents, which I love. And it's just a very nice interior. If I had to pick one other thing aside from the interior, it's definitely the locking system by the front driver's side door. Because if I have something in my hands, like I previously mentioned, it's just so nice to just tap the buttons and then just get in the car. It's very nice, not having to use a key. The third question that I ask is, what is my least favorite part about the vehicle? And aside from the atrocious gas mileage that the F-150 gets, I really don't appreciate how Ford devotes all of this space to a cigarette lighter. It's a bit obnoxious. You have this entire panel for one little button that I'm never ever going to use. And then the only difference between this and Lincoln Mark LT was that they had the word Lincoln written in big chrome letters on this plate right here. And there was one other little button, I believe, for some type of seating option that came there. But this is just the only thing, like, it's very subtle, but it's the only thing I dislike about this vehicle. Everything else is extremely nice. The fourth question asked is, what is the weirdest thing about the vehicle? And in the F-150's case, as previously mentioned, the 7 windshield wiper settings is definitely the weirdest feature. How there's just so many different variations for cleaning your windshields when it's raining. It's bizarre, but not a bad feature, just outlandish. The fifth and final question is, would I ever want/own the vehicle? No. So getting behind the wheel of the 2004 Ford F-150 Lariat Supercrew cab, at a first glance, this vehicle appears imposingly large, and by no means is it small. It's a large vehicle. It's got a big, hunky 5.4-liter V8 inside of it. But it's got power. I mean, it's got 300 horsepower at 5,000 RPM underneath the hood. And, I mean, it takes a little to get moving, obviously, because it's a truck. And, I mean, by no means is it a speed demon. But it's, for people who don't drive trucks, it's a lot easier to maneuver than one might think. Like, you know, you're like making your way through like a sharp turn, but like as long as you like take it slow and like you're aware of the wide like diameter of the whole vehicle, like it's not a big a predicament as it might like physically appear to be from a distance. Overall, like the brakes on the F-150 are like a little stiffer, like it's a larger vehicle, so it takes a little more momentum to get the vehicle to come to a complete stop. I mean, I got new brakes installed recently, granted, but still. Driving this thing though, it's a lot of fun. The MPG is terrible, but it's a fun vehicle to just get in and just drive around. I mean, you know, you want a couple friends, you want to bring a couple friends somewhere, just chill. It's a great vehicle to bring to baseball games, like local events, or if you just want to just chill, like go like camping or just hang out in the back. I mean, it's fun. And you can very comfortably fit 5 people in it. I mean, it's a very nice family vehicle. I mean, it costs. I mean, trucks aren't cheap. I mean, take for granted, but still. Comfort on this thing is very strong. The leather seats, as I said, are tremendous. As you can see, the camera is shifting tremendously because I forgot to clamp it down. But yeah, like I'd be willing to take this thing on like far road trips, or just it's very comfortable. I took this thing up to Boston, which is like a 4-hour ride, and it was just a very comfortable, like nice feeling, and you cruise along the highway, and it's fun. I mean, it's just an overall nice vehicle to have. Now that we have analyzed the F-150's individual characteristics, it is time to scale it on the lemon list. Quick disclaimer about the scoring system. I have removed the visibility and purpose categories and added a character category. For visibility, mostly everything will score well, except for exotic like sports cars. And then for purpose, any normal car would score high, save the Plymouth Prowler or the Chevy SSR, anything along those lines. Starting with the exterior, though, the F-150, it's nice, it's simple, it's not overbearing. And I've said this even before I purchased my F-150. I always thought the 10th generation of the F-150 models were the nicest looking ones, so it earns a 6 on the exterior. Interior, similarly, it's nice, it's simple, the wood, the leather, it's just nice, so it earns a 6 out of 10 for the interior. Road trip is kind of similar to interior. The leather seats are extremely comfortable, they're large, they're roomy, they're plush. Plenty of time to spend on them, so 7 out of 10 for the road trip. MPG is the F-150's weak point. I take the MPG off the sticker, although I showed you the actual MPG. But the F-150's combined MPG is 17 miles per gallon, which earns it a 3 out of 10. Storage on the F-150 is pretty solid. It's not as good as an SUV due to the lack of extra trunk space, but it is much better than a sedan or a coupe, so it earns a 7 out of 10 for the storage. Character on the F-150 is pretty low. You're going to see a ton of these. They are extremely popular vehicles in North America, so it earns a 4 out of 10 for character. Wish list is a little better than the middle. There's not much I could wish for aside from a couple new technology features. For a 2004 model, this thing holds up very well. It's comfortable, it's nice, so there's not too much I could honestly wish for. Handling is not that great. It gets a 4 out of 10. But I mean, it's a large vehicle, it's got a large radius. You need to just be under control of it. It's nothing sharp, so it earns a 4 out of 10 for handling. Excitement's not that high on the F-150 either. Granted, it's more fun to drive than like a normal SUV or a sedan. Nothing crazy, so it gets a 4 out of 10 for the excitement. Stupidity is high because stupidity is, the less stupid it is, the higher it's going to score. The only thing I wasn't fond of in the F-150 is a ton of space devoted to the cigarette lighter, but aside from that, it's not bad at all, so 8 out of 10 for stupidity. Price is a 7 out of 10 for the F-150. The Lariat holds its values very well. My truck was about $10,500. Originally purchased for about, I think, close to $40,000, and it holds its value fairly well for a 14-year-old vehicle. Modern Lariats are about $50,000 for the crew cab, so not too bad for a fully loaded pickup truck. Engine responsiveness on the F-150 is poor. Gets a 3 out of 10, but I mean, you can't be expecting extreme quickness from a large pickup truck that weighs nearly 6,000 pounds, so it earns a 3 out of 10. Overall amenities, I know this is a Lincoln Mark LT picture. I just wanted to show this to display the excess features you would have purchased if you got a Lincoln. But the F-150, since it's a Lariat, if this video was made in 2004, 5, or 6, it probably would have got an 8 or a 9 on overall amenities. But since it is a little bit outdated, it earns a 6 out of 10, but still very well for a 2004 model year. Add all that up with a total of 71 out of 130. Now that there are only 13 categories, divide 71 by 13, you get a total of 5.46. The F-150 overtakes the Honda Pilot and the Honda Accord on the Lemon list. It's a new leader, but there is much more to come, so stay tuned, and thank you for watching.